tell us, listeners and people watching, like, what's the number one issue you see today, right now?
Right now, it's really interesting because it's as of the recording, it's the June, July timeframe, 2021, and a lot of states have been reopening, and a lot of people are coming back, and new CDC guidelines, and a lot of states are still in this kind of weird middle ground. Like, okay, well, the customers coming in, if you're a retail forward-facing establishment, the customers are coming in, and obviously CDC guidelines is saying if you vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. But our occupational safety and health standards for our state have not changed, so our employees still have to. So it's kind of in that weird middle ground, and I call it almost like a reboarding process. You've had so many people that have been out working remotely, and even if it's not full time, they're starting to come back in a day or two a week, 2-3 days a week. They're starting to kind of make that transition. And I've noticed also some folks that they've noticed on their teams when they work together for a long time in person, then they had the pandemic, they've already built the relationship. So, being on Zoom like we are now, not a big deal. We all know where everybody's coming from because we've built those relationships. We've seen the body language. We know the nuances. Then you bring new people on the team. I only know you from Zoom now. I don't have that bond and that relationship. So it's a weird dynamic. So, and I call it reboarding. We're kind of in this reboarding process, I think, in 2021 on how do we kind of get back and just really not back to what it was. A real good friend of mine who's a Ph.D. and he does a lot of leadership training. And I love his perspective on what do you want to go back when we could take what we've learned and try to go forward and improve and be even better. And not and just take the good of what we've done with working remotely or some of the processes that are in place that make things more efficient, but then rebuild on that and with people coming back into the workforce. But there's a real awkwardness, I think, with this reboarding, and so really being able to kind of tap into that engagement piece and figure out where people are is super important.
I think you're right on, and it's interesting. You mentioned. Not kind of learning from this past 18 months or so, right? And how can we make our businesses better? I'm a big believer in that, and looking forward and taking that and making your company organization much better and really learning from that. And really being agile, but also you've probably heard the term anti-fragile. I know I did a talk about that recently, right? About just it's even more than being resilient, right? It's about being able to thrive and to learn and to grow from that experience.
Absolutely. Well, and I love the book about it too that you had mentioned, but also if you've ever watched any of Tom Bilyeu's interviews online, he was with Quest for a number of years and he has his own kind of thing now. But I tell you what, he does a great job explaining that whole anti-fragile concept, and he's interviewed the guy who's written the books or whatever. So I've gone back. That's where I first learned about the concept was through him and his interview and the unique perspective that he puts on it. But you're absolutely right. I think if anybody came out of 2020 into 2021, whether it's a business, an association, an organization, a practice, and you're still standing, you haven't turned in your charter, you haven't, you still got a couple members left, if you're still doing business, you're still up and running, just chalk one up in the W category. Right? Even no matter how bad of a beating you took, if you're still alive, you're still going, you're still able to progress and do business. Yeah, chalk one up for the win. It might have been an ugly win. And I'm sure when you played football, you've had some ugly wins, but it still counted as one in the W category, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Take the win for the win, learn from it, and watch the films and go back and do better next time. But thankful for the win.
There were some ugly film sessions in the day. I can promise you that, my friend.
No doubt in my mind. Absolutely. And I think if we had the film of 2020, the first part of 2021, man, some of us, it'd be rough. But, if you made it through on the other end, because so many businesses didn't, then, like I said, chalk it up in the win category, some degree of resilience and anti-fragileness, and then just keep on, learn from it, hard charge from it. Take the best that you can apply and keep going.